The international break is finally over for the Philadelphia Union, and we are back for Miami week, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on into today's edition of PHLY Union Podcast. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, JP Zapata, joined as always with the lovely Renee Washington and Andrew Frazier. And before we start off, Renee, how was the birthday weekend, the big weekend, girl?
Guys, I feel old. I'm older. I felt it. I felt every bit of it. No, I had a great weekend, and it was nice because I did have a chance to actually get to enjoy it. Had downtime. Weather was nice. Got to see a double rainbow. Got to hang out with some friends. Got to watch plenty of games this weekend, from baseball to football to soccer. So, just was a great, eventful weekend that I enjoyed it.
The hangovers hurt more as we get older. I'm learning that as well. Frazier's got a trick, which I don't know if we should be condoning or not, but he doesn't get the hangovers.
It might kill your liver, down the road, but I like to the night of a drinking night, right before I go to bed, you just pop 2 Advil, 2 Motrin, chug a water, and go to bed, and you're fine the next day. You got nothing to worry about.
It's the Irish and Andrew right there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that.
And then eat McDonald's the next day after all that greasy food. You're perfectly set.
Dude, I wish. Listen, my wife does not really care for the Mickey D's. I every now and then I do like it, but that I do condone. I do condone the fatty foods in the morning.
You do need a greasy meal.
Yes.
Sausage McMuffin.
Yeah. I like a good pizza or something, like just something with something filling to sop it all up. Yeah.
I love it. All right, guys. Well, we got a lot to talk about here today. It's funny because they've been off since the 31st, but listen, we got stuff to talk about here today. And I wanted to start off because this kind of popped up right before we went live here, but the MLSPA did drop their free agency list. Everyone who's got a out of contract after this year, who has a pending option. And for your Philadelphia Union, not an extensive list, but 4 players are on there. Out of contract, as we all know, Alejandro Bedoya will be after this season. And then pending an option is Jack Elliott, Olivier Beisel, and Matt Real. Now, what's interesting, guys, is that if you guys have been following what Ernst Tanner has been saying at the town hall discussion, he did bring up a little nugget there that they could be potentially doing a little bit of a shakeup at the back line. 3 players who need options are part of that back line. It got my juices thinking, like, is there a possibility that, like, how different could this back line look? And I did put out the question on Twitter. Is there a world where Jack Elliott does not come back next year? I looked at his in-depth numbers. He's definitely regressed this year. He's not getting any younger. And keep in mind, Glesnes in 2026 has his option. So me personally, the Union need to come up with a plan over the next 3 years to kind of not a little reshape of this back line. And obviously need to get younger, but guys, we need depth. Like, that's something that's been killing this team, especially our boy Damian Lowe left too. So it is going to be something interesting, but I'll start off with you, Renee. I mean, is there a world where Elliott's not back in Union blue and gold next year?
Ooh, that's wild to think about. Who's the 4th player? Said Mbaizo, Elliott, Bedoya, and
Matt Real, which I know we all forgot because he's in Colorado right now with the switchback.
Oopsies. I just feel like it's time. I feel like the writing is on the wall for that as well. We've been seeing so many changes from this group. And the thing is, a lot of people have been wanting those changes, myself included, and have been wanting the Union to change up the roster, to stop running it back with the same group, to bring in some fresh talent. And for a center back, it's a really difficult position because you don't rotate it. That's partly why I felt like they weren't able to come to terms and keep somebody like Damian Lowe. You do need to have a backup center back, just like you need a backup goalie, Columbus. But you need to also make sure, and we'll get into that because that's a crazy story, to be honest. But you also need to make sure that you have 2 center backs you can rely on that are healthy or better chances of staying healthy, because you can never, of course, predict that. But also got the talent, got the youth. And I do feel like for Jakob and for Jack, they've played so much on the back line for this group. Yes, this team's been one of the best defensively, but I think it's a sign that it's just lately the struggles, especially once Andre Blake went down, was a sign to me this defense is not as organized and as spry as they used to be. So who goes? You have a young Nate Harriel. You have a Kai Wagner that I feel like is in his prime in terms of age, experience, consistency. And it leads to two center backs that are the two quote unquote areas of weakness. It's a really tough discussion to even have, but in reality, for the back four, those are the two weak players that you have, weaker players of the four. So if one has to go, I actually think Jakob Glesnes has been regressing a bit more to me than Jack
Yeah.
Elliott. I've been enjoying
I would agree.
the grind, the scrappiness we've been seeing from Jack. But Jack also has been looking a little bit different. I don't know if you guys picked up on it too. Like something seems like he's even, I don't want to say frustrated, but like he was always this quiet, mild-mannered, didn't really show emotion type of a player. Here and there, of course, he had those moments, but I feel like lately we're getting a lot more emotion, a lot more of like this fire from him. And I don't know if that is a good or a bad thing. I don't know what that means, but I just have noticed it of like he seems to be coming a little bit out of his shell almost. I don't know if you guys have picked up on that.
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with, like you were saying, Renee, is the frustrations with this squad, with this unit, not having the depth, putting a lot of weight on his shoulders and Glesnes' shoulders. And I think it's getting to them. Obviously, we have seen the signs of regression, like you both were saying. And I think he's feeling that. And that's where you're starting to see this emotion kind of come out of his shell a little bit and whatnot. To say, are they going to make a change? It's hard to say with anything like that about this team. You know, obviously that has been something that we've all have been squawking about for the last couple of years is, you know, are they going to make a change? And they never do. They keep the same people. So is this his last year in Union colors? I think it personally, my opinion, I think it's time. I like the movements that they've been making, like the changes that they've been making recently. The fresh blood that's been coming into this team. It's been exciting. It's been refreshing. It's been nice to see. And I think this unit that has been together for, you know, a couple of seasons now has been great, but it's slowly showing, especially this season alone, stand out, has been showing that it's starting to kind of hinder a little bit. And I think bringing in new people would be great, but also bringing in new people, but having that depth as well. You know, we can't just bring in one guy or two guys. We need to have a collection of guys that are going to come in here. But I think bolstering that and bringing in some new fresh blood would be nice.
It is going to be interesting. I mean, like I know no one wants to talk about this because Elliott's a fan favorite, right? Like he's a draft pick. He's been here since like 2018, and people are comfortable with him. But like if you look at, and Renee brought up a good point, like guys, the time period where Andre Blake was absent due to injury, that really highlighted some serious problems. This backline, this club in general looked lost without their starting goalkeeper. And we all know Andre Blake is a huge difference maker, but that's not good either. Without Andre Blake, they shouldn't have gone in that 10-game winless streak, right? And a lot of it was mishaps on defense. And part of it was that backline there too. I feel like he will be back, and I don't think it's crazy for him to be gone either, but I do think he will be back simply because of the Union loving players who know the system, and Elliott knows the system very well. He's played his entire professional career here with the Philadelphia Union. But I mean, like as these next couple seasons go by, I talked about Gles's option up in 26. There needs to be a significant plan of, you know, moving on slowly but surely from Elliott and Glesnes, because those guys are around that 30-year mark. And look, you still want to make sure you have players in their prime. And I do feel like their prime might be closer to ending than they are in the middle of it. So these are things that they do need to start thinking about. I know we have Makanya. I know we have Brandon Craig out in loan, but it doesn't seem like those guys have any promise whatsoever. So like, yeah, you need to go out and need to find some other options out there. The other guys who have options, Real and Mbaizo. Mbaizo is going to be really interesting. We know about the transfer rumors last year. When you're away from your wife and your kid, that's very difficult on one player from what we heard. It's going to be interesting. I feel like the Union would want to bring it. That's a player you do want to bring back because of his experience with the club, and he obviously knows how to get up and down that flank there. But it is going to be interesting. You know, Ernst did talk about the backline getting a reshape, but what does that actually look like? We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, and to your point, even about like Jack Elliott, for example, I do feel as though the difficult thing is everybody says they want changes around the roster, but nobody's happy with whoever gets moved. Like, who does that mean gets moved? So when it was Julian Carranza, when it was Jose Martinez, when it was Damian Love, it was like up in arms. But you can't expect changes across this roster, especially with the starting 11, and not have somebody out the door. So I think ideally what I would like to see happen is for them to start planning for the future. And I feel like Oliver Zemla is that plan for the future. And honestly, him and Andrew Rick for goal. Who is that plan for the future in terms of center back? You know, Damian Lowe, I thought was that, but he's gone now. So what are the Union doing to prepare to have somebody that's a little bit closer, that is going to be able to step in when it's time to pass off the torch? And we're seeing that in the midfield. You mentioned Ali Bedoya. I think even outside back, it's already happened with Nate Harriel being able to step in for, Mbaizo being now an off the bench guy. So I need for this offseason, I hate to even start looking ahead to that, but you want to see them making moves that help add, as you mentioned, Andrew, bolstering the roster to then be able to provide you with depth, but also youth for the future. So I would love to see that from the Union, of just a better plan to start looking ahead. And if you guys are looking for the right decision for yourselves to look ahead to this fall, you can do so with our friends over at Rite Aid. Let me tell you about Rite Aid, because it provides you with all the benefits of having not only their refreshery with hydrating drinks like their coconut water and their pantry items in the Elo Market of snacks, pantry items. They also have the opportunity for you to take advantage of their fall allergy medication, because fall is here, guys. It is time. We are into September now. It's getting cooler outside. And with that also comes fall allergies that are going to last into November. It could be pet dander and fur, dust mites, pigweed, tumbleweed, sagebrush, a number of things that cause the allergic reactions. You get the symptoms of the watery eyes, the wheezing, the runny nose, the itchy eyes, and it's frustrating. And so you can relieve some of that frustration and those allergies with Rite Aid. They have Rite Aid rewards emails for you at riteaid.com/rewards to receive pollen alerts for your area. You also have the opportunity to take advantage of a dehumidifier. They've got some tips for you, such as keeping your windows closed, minimizing having pollen coming into your house, or tracking it in through your shoes as you come in, or your jackets. So with Rite Aid, they have over-the-counter options for you. Nasal rinses, decongestants, different medications to help deal with symptoms as they are flaring up. And you can take advantage of the not only rewards program that they have, the over-the-counter medications, but also they're great pharmacists. Their pharmacists provide you with a chance to ask questions as you're going through. Maybe you're looking for medication. Maybe you're looking to get pointed in the right aisle and right direction to find those vitamins or whatever it may be. So with Rite Aid, you can make sure to absolutely have an opportunity to take advantage of all the perks that they have and the benefits. And check them out today. Online at riteaid.com, you can find all the details that you need to get started with their Rite Aid rewards programs at riteaid.com. Again, /rewards, but also anything else that you're looking. Maybe it's their pharmacy services that they've got. You can check all that out at riteaid.com today to get going.
I love it.
Rite Aid.
Love it, Renee. And as we're planning for the future, obviously you need to plan for that back line. And what you guys need to do is start planning for your financial future, especially for all my parents out there, right? Like, we need to start planning for our kids' financial future, making sure we're setting them up for success, just like Ernst Tanner setting up the Union for success on the pitch. Let's talk a little bit about our friends over at TrueMark Financial, ladies and gentlemen, because listen, one of my favorite features about what they have is they have the free mobile banking app. And obviously those are very, very beneficial for every product that we use, but especially for finances, because they have the new money management tool that will help you manage all of your earnings and your finances as well. Managing family finances includes budgeting for kids' sports leagues. Create a separate budget category for sports expenses to track costs effectively. And like I mentioned, guys, it is never, ever, 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 ever too early to start at a young age with financial responsibility with your kids. I would have loved to have that as a young one. Would have definitely helped me out here today. But you guys have time right now to make sure you're setting up your young ones for success. Going on a group trip for away games. We still got some good away trips, and we'll see. We're probably gonna have a couple of away trips for the playoffs here for the U. It's still easy to keep track of your spending with the mobile banking app. Mobile banking apps offers convenience for managing finances on the go. My favorite feature, however, is I get to avoid the little heart attack where I happen to lose my debit or credit card. With the mobile banking app over at TrueMark Financial, they have the lock feature. So if you happen to go through that situation, just hit the lock button. Simple as that. You don't have to worry about it. And if you do find it, you could just unlock it, or they can get you a new card out quick and easy. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender. If you would like some more information, you have one of two options. You either visit truemark.com/PHLY. That's truemark.com/PHLY, or you can visit 24 branches in the area. Let them know that PHLY sent you, and they'd be more than happy to help you answer any questions you have or to start your credit union career. So get your finances right, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to our friends over at TrueMark Financial. Awesome, awesome stuff. All right, guys, I want to talk about something a little more pressing for myself. All right, so this past weekend, and you both know me very well, I love soccer. This is my favorite sport by all
you?
I
had no idea.
I love this sport, but I caught myself this weekend. Saturday, we're planning for a wedding this upcoming Saturday. So we were at home getting ready for the final details. I wanted the TV on while we're working, right? So I put on the quad box. I have YouTube TV, so I put on the quad box for some college football, and like all day, I had college football on, and on the night I had the Phillies on. And like, I really did not have much of an urge to watch MLS soccer, which is so unlike me. You guys know I love this league. I love this sport. And like, I look at it in the grander landscape, and like, guys, like, this has been an unmemorable season for MLS soccer. And we're coming off of 2023 where, yes, Messi comes and everybody and their mom is asking about the league, asking about obviously Inter Miami, but there was popularity at its peak, right? And like, we're going this year, there's no real good storylines. There's no like player, on its way to break a record on a crazy run. And like, I put a tweet out asking the same thing, and people were responding to me, and still I got nothing of significant substance. And it concerns me, guys, because when you have the news of Messi coming to your league like last year, you got to capitalize on it. And so I look at it this year, and I'm just like we should not be taking a step back. And for me, it feels like we took a step back as a league. I want to get your guys' thoughts, but it definitely does concern me. And oh, by the way, it doesn't help that the matches that we did have over the past weekend, granted it was international break, but they were unmemorable either. So where are we at with this league? Are we concerned? Like, are we going backwards here? What's going on?
I think we talk about it a lot. It's what this league needs to do is it needs to attract names is what it needs to do. Like, obviously there are great players in the MLS already, but they're not household names. They're not these big Messi type names here, and I think if they were able to capitalize, find a way to bring these guys in here, and I think that will generate a lot of excitement around the league for the fans, to like want to like really just dig their fingers deep into this thing, because Messi was huge last year. That was a big signing. Everybody, even non-soccer fans, are like, oh my gosh, Messi going to the MLS, this is massive. And of course, everybody wanted to tune in, and they wanted to watch, that second half of that season to see how he would do in Inter Miami and all of that stuff. But then it kind of just went away. And I agree with you. It kind of feels like this year, and I don't know what it is, to be honest. I can't place a finger on it, but it does feel like it's kind of dulled down a little bit.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I mean, I'm just like doing a quick scroll through of like what social media looks like. I feel like, to be honest, there was a drop also in just the overall promotion of the league. In order to be able to attract big name players, you have to be able to provide a product that A, financially can afford to get them here, and B, is going to give them the type of experience and professional atmosphere that they're looking for. And when you have players that are now more and more, I know we talk about a lot with the union, but it's not just a union. Every team across the league is dealing with the competition of European leagues and losing players to other leagues. Well, why are they going there? Because you actually are going to get paid, and you're going to get the treatment that you're looking for. The league has to continue the same way they had all the Messi mania, the Messi streams, the Messi everything. There's even a Messi museum, which I didn't even know existed. There's a Messi world tour that's happening. That I
had no idea that was happening.
Miami, it's in LA. They have it. It's emerging in Mexico City, where they're literally just doing pop-ups of this Messi museum that people can walk through, an immersive experience of Messi's career. Okay, but you can't build a league around just one player. And I think they leaned so heavily on Messi, they unfortunately dropped the ball on other players. There are a lot of talented players already in the league right now. Why are we not getting more of their stories? Why are we not getting more of their, the team excitement and the behind the scenes stuff? And to be honest, when you look across professional leagues, I think like in terms of soccer comparison, the NWSL is doing a better job of starting to create those narratives. The WNBA is definitely doing a better job of that. The NBA, the NFL already were there. We're seeing it more and more with Major League Baseball. You have to make your players a household name. You have to show. We love to see the rivalries. We love to see, the competition and the fights, not the literal physical fights, but players going head to head and MVP races, golden boot races. Like, keep all of that at the forefront. And instead of just leaning on, I think, to be honest, the top players, it's okay with Miami. Let's just continue talking about Messi and Suarez. There's so many other storylines that are getting missed out on. And then the final piece that I think actually is messing it up, and I know the Columbus Crew went through this past weekend with their 4-0 loss to the Sounders, where they had their starting goalkeeper, Abraham Romero, was ejected with a red card. So they had to put a field player, one of their midfielders, in goal. And for them, Wilfred Nancy was complaining like, we've been almost punished for playing so much soccer. We had another goalkeeper being transferred in, and with Patrick Schulte and Nicholas Hagen out, they didn't have an option. They didn't have a goalkeeper. They had Evan Bush's sideline. They had no options here. They wanted to be able to call up one of their Columbus Crew 2 players. Couldn't do that because of the short-term contract rules that are in place. So I know Nancy was complaining, like, why are we almost being punished for playing so many games? And now we have to put Zawadzki in goal, who has been their ultra utility player that plays everywhere for them, but he's not a goalkeeper. And of course, by no surprise, Albert Rusnak has a hat trick. The Sounders go on to score 4 goals in the second half. And a game that could have gone anyway, any direction, now becomes very lopsided. So even that product, can you imagine being a fan and you're at lower.com field to watch this game, and then you see your goalkeeper and Abraham Romero go out in the first half during stoppage time, and now you're watching professional soccer with a field player in goal? There's got to be more rules in place also for the players' side, that as they're growing the league, you're making sure the teams can be as close to possibly being at strong form. Injuries are going to happen. Red cards are going to happen. But this cannot happen, that you are setting up a team to be in a situation where they have 3, 4, or 5 goalies, but none of them are options between the international window, the injuries, and the MLS Next Pro rules. So I think there's a few different factors that even will help them get to that point that you're mentioning, Andrew, of attracting top players. In order to get there, they've got to figure out the foundation first.
Well, do you think they should even be playing? Like, to be honest, I mean, you look at other leagues, all the European leagues, they take a break. Like, there was no Premier League games last weekend. So, like, why are you even playing a game? Like, the MLS should have just been like, all right, this week we're taking off, international break, enjoy it. We'll see you next week.
Dude, I've had this question for 7 years now, and I would love to have like an MLS official on, or someone high up that works under Garber, because I just want to know, like, why is it that we are playing during international breaks where, yes, Andrew, all the major leagues around the world are all for these 2 weeks. It just, and like you have products like what Renee just brought up. Like, that's not good for the league, and the roster restriction stuff is a big part of it too. Like, we were there was heavy rumors about opening it up and having a 4th DP and opening up these rosters. The last thing you want to do, like, Jim brought it up in 2021 when you go up against a Club America and their bench pieces are $1 million players, and you got, youngsters. So you have homegrown players who are making $200,000 a year. So it is a big difference there. And one big thing to talk about, one big factor in this, guys, is, yes, 2 years ago or before 2023, we switched to Apple TV. And, we just came off of the best soccer match in MLS history with the MLS Cup that we were a part of. And instead of capitalizing it, we went into this paywall, right? We went into Apple TV. And you guys know too, you probably have friends who like sports, who have an interest in soccer, but like, it is hard to convince a casual soccer fan to pay more money for now another product in Apple TV. And so that's been a difficulty as well. Like, and I'll be honest with you, like, the content for Apple TV is fine. I'm not going to, I don't feel inclination before a Union match to watch the pregame show. I just don't feel the urge to do it. Renee, you and I have talked about it. There's things that they could do pregame shows. I don't think that they're capitalizing on the MLS fan that never gets highlighted ever. I remember when I first did vlogs down at Subaru Park, like nobody was capturing what is going on at all these tailgates, all these supporter ends, right? Like there's so much stuff that we should be capitalizing as a league. And to the player point, Andrew, you brought up like you want more bigger players. What I don't want, and this won't happen because it's 2024, it's not 1980, and the league really has set themselves up really well that this won't happen again. But if you look back at the NASL days, right? The Cosmo effect, as I call it, where back in those days in that league, it was really cool. Like the New York Cosmos had Pelé and Franz Beckenbauer, who were, really big players at that time. But the rest of the league really couldn't put together solid teams compared to that. And that's why that league really did fold at the end of the day, because it was way too top heavy that the rest of the league just could not catch up. Now, that won't happen. Like I said, money is being distributed much better. But the popularity part is what I am worried about, guys. There was a time, and there was actual facts behind it. There was a survey done where MLS surpassed the NHL in popularity. It was the fourth sport in popularity. And it was on its way to be an MLB. But MLB this year, and Renee, well, they've done a really good, I don't think they've done a really good job, but there's marketable players. There's players that young kids can look up to. And the MLS are stuck behind Apple TV, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, my last thing on it, there's a couple things, I guess, is one, to your point, JP, when you look at the addition of talent, you can't just have all these, like a team like Inter Miami, who's running away with the conference and running away with the league, but they have all these big name players. And then outside of that, you have teams that either aren't paying or just don't have the market and the ability to be able to recruit players that can even compete on that level. So I do actually feel like, in a way, although it's not nearly as bad, I do feel like the MLS is running into that problem a little bit, because there are teams like the Union where, realistically, they're never going to pay for a top player like that. And so how do you keep up with homegrowns and with, just this blue collar system in a league that's trying to be more of an international base? And then on top of that, in terms of the broadcast, and I can say this as somebody that was on the local Union broadcast as one of the hosts, with the Apple TV deal, they forced the removal of local broadcasts. It should still have remained both. Give people the option. Every other league has a national and a local broadcast. And then there are the occasional games. You'll have a Phillies game, you'll have a Gotham FC game, whatever, where there is no local broadcast. It's only the national. But to have every single game of the season only through Apple TV is a disservice to the fans. And it's a disservice to the broadcasters that are working in the local area that have a better sense of the team. Like we all notice the difference between a national broadcast and a local when you're actually around the team in person, at practice, at the games, at press conferences, versus the people that are in a studio miles and miles away. So I think they also, with the Apple TV deal, got a great boost in terms of, we're going to have a whip around show and we're going to have all these, home-based content. But on the reverse, you're losing the connection. You're losing the in-person presence. You're losing the local connection, unfortunately, with having this blanket rule. So I would have appreciated if they rolled out Apple TV, but you also have games occasionally on other networks, on other broadcasts. You allow people to still have their local broadcast, not just radio, and give more, not less, in terms of opportunity for people to stay up to date on the great game. So.
Yeah, no, you're 100%.
I'm right with you on that.
Yeah, you're spot on with that one, Renee. Real quick, we've been going on some great conversations here. I don't want to ignore people in the chat. Ivan, I hope not Ivan, but this is the thing, and in the soccer is this is the beauty of soccer, is that some of the players that we fell in love with in 22 are obviously slowly moving on, but that doesn't mean that it has to end right then and there. We continue it with good transfers, good decisions, especially with the player management, and you can be right back there, guys. It doesn't take too much here. What's up, BC? Got a Galaxy fan in here. Galaxy, they're high in the West too. Top in the
Talking
West.
Smack on you right now, man.
I know.
Argentina's going to be Colombia.
No way.
How you feel about that?
Revenge, baby, revenge. No, we're friendly, guys. But listen, I will say this. In Barranquilla, that's going to be tough for them, for Argentina, but I feel really good with our Colombia there. MLB number 2 in revenue. Yes, but we were talking about popularity. But yeah, obviously baseball. I still want to know where all this money comes from in baseball. But listen,
162 games, lots of tickets.
That's right.
That's very true.
That is correct. All right. Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, guys, listen. I know a lot of us are a little worried about the future with the union, and I completely get that. I completely sympathize with you guys as well. So you know what I recommend here? If you're feeling a little antsy about the Philadelphia Union and what's going on, what you guys really need to do, you should just sit back, relax, and get in the fridge first and crack open a nice cold Coors Light, ladies and gentlemen. I love it, guys. Listen, I talked about it Saturday as we were winding down with the wedding stuff. Went right in the fridge, and I did that myself. I cracked open that Coors Light because it was time to chill. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, when the mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a much smoother finish. And when you embrace that chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and just, I wish I had a can right now, crack open that Coors Light. Coors Light is a mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. You can make the most out of the times you choose to chill and choose Coors Light. And right now, Coors Light is hooking us up. You don't have to run to the beer store or the liquor store. You can just go to CoorsLight.com/PHLY soccer, and you can get Coors Light delivered right to you at your front door with the help of Instacart. That's awesome, guys. I know why we all love going to the store, but there's something about getting the beer delivered right to your front door. It's pretty freaking awesome. Again, that's CoorsLight.com/PHLY soccer. Make sure you guys celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, you can get so many things delivered to your house. That also includes getting your carpet installation professionally done and quickly done right at home as well, that you can shop. Because with Empire Today, we know the jingle, but did you also know you get the chance to shop home conveniently? You can find the products that fit your needs. They've got quick and professional installation and a price match guarantee. So Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring because they don't have they have the best quality, I should say, but they also have great people to help install it as well. And you cannot beat the quality, the service, and the speed that they provide with Empire Today. They won't promise the lowest prices because anyone can put floors in your house for a low price, but they want to promise you're getting quality and great prices with that quality. They want to also simplify the process for shopping for floors by providing you with their virtual floor designer, a great way to be able to see how those new floors are going to look in any space. It makes it easy to snap a picture, see what that floor looks like in your office, in your living room, in your kitchen, in your bedroom, wherever you're looking, your bathroom, to change up the floors. And now you can shop from home. And shopping doesn't have to be overwhelming for those floors. When you head into the big stores and they have all these samples and different materials and quality and hardwood floors and laminate and all the different carpeting, it can get overwhelming. So with Empire, they also give you a chance that you can talk to someone. They can answer those questions for you, and they can really make it less stressful when you are buying, to give you confidence with their honest and upfront advice. So they pride themselves on their convenience. They pride themselves on their customer service, and they pride themselves on providing you with great new floors that will match perfectly with those home renovations you're doing. The new fixtures, the new backdrop, the new lighting, recessed lighting you're getting, whatever it is you're looking to fix up. With Empire Today, get that process going with the great help that they've got. So you can schedule a free in-home estimate today. All of our listeners can receive $350 off as a discount when you use the promo code PHLY. There are restrictions that do apply, but again, check out empiretoday.com/PHLY for more details to get started with Empire Today.
1-800-288-3. I don't even know.
Empire. Yeah.
I always forget the phone number. I heard it so many times, I forgot the phone number.
Oh, 1-800-587-2300.
Yeah.
Empire Today.
Whoever gets it first gets a prize. We'll see. Chelsea, no one cheat. All right, guys. I love it. Having a lot of fun here. All right, so guys, listen. We're having a lot of fun. What's not fun? It's going up against Inter Miami. We also have to go down to South Florida. But what I'm happy and excited for is our guests to get us ready for this upcoming matchup against Inter Miami. Please welcome dear friend of the show from the Heron Nest. Please welcome Alex Windley. Alex, what's going on?
Hey guys, I'm excited to be back on.
We're excited to have you on.
Nice to have you.
How are things down there, Alex, down in South Florida?
Really rainy, and we're in
Really?
September, so yeah, it's killing us down here, but I'm hanging in there.
That is never ever fun there.
Yeah.
Oh man. But do we have clear weather for Saturday night?
That's a good question. I'm gonna just say no, but it'll
Okay.
probably clear up eventually. But
nice-
we could see some rain actually. Yeah.
Nice little slop fest. Hopefully it's not like the
Florida,
Crystal
where-
Cup.
And it
Right.
rains randomly in Florida all the time, and then we'll be sunny, and then we'll be raining again. So
Right.
who knows?
Honestly, starting to sound like Philadelphia these days. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
All right, Alex. Well, let's dive into it. Obviously, listen, a lot of press with your club. There are no secrets about that. Then we got to start it off. Obviously, I witnessed it. Messi's injury at the Copa America final. What's our update here? What's the timetable here for Lionel Messi? I'm not expecting him here this Saturday, but what's the expectation for Miami?
Yeah, so he could be back actually. He's
Really?
back in training. Yeah, he's back in training. He's been running. He's been in full team training. Gaston Ido, the Argentine journalist, said he'll probably play within the next 2 games, and I'm leaning towards the Philadelphia match because it's on a more natural grass situation compared to Miami are heading up to Atlanta next Wednesday, so it would probably be better for Messi to play on a grass surface. So yeah, per him, I think he'll probably get some minutes this Saturday. And yeah, he's closer to a return than he was I'd say like 2 weeks ago. So
Wow. Okay. Well, there you have it. We should hopefully see Messi playing this weekend. This group as a whole, though, hasn't missed a beat at all. And I know we had talked about it before, but when you look at the success of Inter Miami, clearly running away with, forget the East, but top across the league. You look at how they've won games with 18 wins. But most importantly, it's not Messi. It's not the same guys. I know we talked before about the depth of this team, but for Inter Miami in this final stretch of the regular season heading into playoffs, how are you feeling about how they've been progressing? I mean, it's one thing to be successful in the regular season. It's another thing once you get to playoff time. And now, obviously, that's where you really are putting the focus in to make sure you're the last one standing. Is this group built for the distance, or is this a situation where they're primed, in your opinion, to kind of have an upset down the stretch come playoff time? Putting on your predictions here.
Yeah, honestly, this team has improved over the course of the year, even without Messi, like you said, Renee. And I think Tata Martino has needs a lot of credit for that because he's been able to, him and Chris Henderson, they've been able to pick players that got Miami to this point over the summer when Messi was out and Suarez was out for Copa America, and then Messi's injury. They have guys like Matias Rojas, Federico Redondo, Diego Gomez, who's off to Brighton in the winter. They have a lot of guys that are just really good at scoring and facilitating, and even without Messi. So once Messi gets back, I think this team is going to take it up to another level, which is it's pretty scary for the rest of MLS, honestly, even I'm watching as a reporter. The biggest question is, will their defense be able to hold up to their attacking prowess? I don't, honestly, it's hit or miss. Honestly, it depends on the day for Miami because there are some days where, they'll get a clean sheet and maybe just concede only 1 goal. But then there are other games where, I believe they played Toronto FC a couple of weeks ago and the game ended 4-3 and a player got sent off on Miami's side. And they still managed to win playing good attacking soccer. But, defensively, you can't have your center back getting sent off that early and conceding that many goals. So that is a worry heading into the playoffs, especially with teams like the Crew, FC Cincinnati, and then you look over to the West, LAFC and the Galaxy. They can punish you offensively as well. So I think that's probably the biggest question for Miami heading forward. But I think with Messi coming back eventually and playing a few minutes this weekend, the team will get their morale up a little bit. And if they do start leaking goals, they have the attack to be able to just outscore anyone. So I think that's kind of what they're banking on and praying for the best with their defense.
Absolutely. That's going to be the name of the game for them. But, it's funny you bring up Tata Martino because, it's funny, our last matchup, I think it really exemplified like the tutelage and how big of an impact Tata's had on that squad. I mean, you look at that June 15th match, I mean, in Chester, right? Like typically, I mean, obviously this year wasn't much of a fortress, but, it's always been a fortress for the Union, right? And then we had that early goal by Uwa. And then Miami in that second half, that 47th minute goal, and then the injury time goal as well to seal the deal by Robert Taylor. But I think like in the past, even with Neville, that comeback would have never happened. And the trust and obviously the tactics that Martino puts in, I think that match obviously like that for us is what we saw. But I think that match kind of exemplified how big Tata Martino's been for Miami.
Right, I'd agree with you. I think that was that one game. I think it was the first game away from Miami during the international goings on during the summer. Messi was gone, Suarez was gone. I think I don't even think Matias Rojas was gone. Diego Gomez was still there. I was recalling him going to the Olympics. But yeah, I think that game kind of, for us reporters, I think it kind of solidified, okay, this team, they can do something here if they're able to win without Messi, and they continue to win and during the summer, and they played competent soccer, which, last season, even with Messi on the field, it was really like Messi dependence on him every single touch, and the team couldn't play without him regardless. But this season we've seen Tata, bring out guys like Diego Gomez, like I mentioned, Matias Rojas, these attacking players who can score. And of course, I'd be crazy not to mention Luis Suarez, who's been phenomenal up top for Miami. And, let's see if the club is able to renew him. But, I think it's guys like that picking up the slack when Messi is gone. I think that was the key moment for the team heading forward. And during the summer, they were able to show that even without Suarez, but now with Messi gone for that 3-month period, the team was just able to fight through. And last season, even under Neville, they, like you said, they would have never been able to come back like that, like they did against the Union. And I think that was when belief really started to hit the fandom and the fan base that, okay, even when we're down, 10 men or not with our stars, the team can still play decent football and get results, which is the most important thing, especially heading in the playoffs where, you're playing home and away and you got to grind out results. So let's see if they can continue that even with Messi and continue that tactical flexibility. And let's see if they're able to, get over that hump that, plagues Supporter Shield. I don't know if you guys heard, the Supporter Shield winners, usually when they win that, they don't go on to win MLS Cup. So I think that's what Miami's trying to avoid. So let's see if they're able to do that. Yeah.
We know well.
It is interesting because I do feel like there's always these bad luck, like playoff juju that just gets put out there about regular seasons, winning the Supporter Shield, winning, first round bye for baseball, like whatever it is, there's always something that people point to as an excuse or a reason why they are nervous about the playoffs. But to your point, with that match back June 15th, 2 red cards that we saw in that game for Miami. They down a goal, as you mentioned, behind Uwa's goal. They come back to win. Leo Alfonso's the game winner there in stoppage time. To me, that felt like such a, as you mentioned, such a big moment for Miami, but also such a huge, huge letdown for the Union, who at that time were in the middle of their awful stretch. They had 10 winless, but since July 6th, the Union have at least defensively been getting back, allowing just 0.5 goals per game. They are 9th in expected goals allowed in that stretch as well. The defense is getting back. The offense is coming around with Tai Baribo's 7 regular season goals in just over 800 minutes. He's been fantastic for the Union offensively. So I'm excited because it's a matchup for both these teams that a lot has changed, obviously, since June 15th. You have players back from the break. You have guys getting back from injury, and it should be very interesting to see how it plays out. But as you mentioned also with that, it's also the pressure of there's just 7 regular season games left and decision day is looming, and everybody knows the importance of every single match. And this is another chance for Miami to continue to hold on to that lead as top offensive units across the league, but top team in the league. And for the Union, they're coming in as a very hungry underdog team, sitting at number 10, trying to crack in to the playoffs. What can we expect in terms of tactically you've noticed change and evolved? I mean, again, a lot's changed since June 15th. What has Miami been kind of rolling out as their attacking methods that have helped them win those shootout games, help them score goals, and help them be the top offensive team across the league?
Yeah, I think the biggest switch that I've seen is them reverting to a back 5, which, I know for the football purists, playing with a flat back 4-3-3, that's, footballing heritage, and you don't want to stray from that. But under Tata Martino, Miami, they've reverted back to this back 5, which I think the makeup of this roster with the older players and Busquets, Suarez, Messi, even Jordi Alba, even though he looks young when he's playing on the field, he's 35 now, I believe. So he's not getting any younger, but reverting to that back five, it's given Miami more defensive security with Tata moving Busquets as a defender, which sounds crazy, but he's been doing well back there. He's been running and stretching his legs a bit, and he has really impeccable timing with his tackles. So it's not that he's bullying people off the ball; it's more so him being smart and positionally aware. So Miami's reverted to this back three with Busquets in the middle, David Martinez on the left, and Toto Avilas on the right, and they have flying wingbacks in Chelo Vegant and Jordi Alba. So it's basically more defensively compact, midfield wise. It's all young guys, and Yannick Bright, he's been a revelation. The draft pick out of, I forgot his college, but he's Italian. But the draft pick that they've got, Federico Redondo, Diego Gomez, even Julian Gressel playing in that midfield three. They provide the legs that maybe Busquets doesn't have. And then up top you have either Matias Rojas or Diego Gomez playing as an attacking outlet alongside Luis Suarez. And this 5-3-2 that they have, it gives them defensive stability, all while keeping them compact through the middle against teams that like Cincinnati or Columbus that like to play with width. It gives them that line of five that they can defend that way, and then going forward, it gives them wing backs that provide the width, but also guys like I said, Gomez, who are runners, and Suarez, who is really an impeccable finisher. It gives them that combination of tightness through the middle of the pitch, a solid defensive line of five, but also when they win the ball, they can turn it over quickly, move forward quickly, launch long balls instead of having that possession-based style that you may associate with Tata Martino and the Barcelona boys. It's much more counterattacking, long ball, playing the angles directly through the wings, and trying to get a midfielder or an attacker on that. So I think that's the biggest difference. I think when Messi does return, I do think they'll probably revert back to a 4-3-3. But heading into the playoffs, and you're playing teams like the Crew and FC Cincinnati that play with a back five, I think that's probably what they're going to stick with even when Messi does return. I think it'll be a little bit more flexible with him, whether it be a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2 or whatever. But I do think that back five is probably the biggest tactical switch that Tata made over the season, rather than sticking with the 4-3-3 when his biggest facilitator in that formation, Messi, he's been out for a large portion of the season, so it didn't make sense to stick that way. So I see why he just switched to that back five.
That's big because, one thing we always gripe upon here in Philly is that, we really don't have too much tactical flexibility. We've seen different formations, but at the end of the day, Alex, too, seeing this club over the past couple of years, it'll always be that 4-4-2 diamond, that back midfield with the two forwards. And listen, it's worked, but there are times where clubs do figure it out. They do find a way to come back that compact midfield. So I think tactical flexibility is big. Obviously, listen, you guys have a lot of big dogs, right? Your Suarez, Busquets, Alba. The casual soccer fan knows who those players are. But I'm curious. You guys have been really good this year, and we talk about Messi hasn't been there for a lot. Is there a player that no one's really talking about that's been big in your success this year?
Yeah, I'll say his name again, Yannick Bright. At the beginning of the season, he wasn't really starting. He was a draft pick. He's basically making up the numbers on the bench. But as the season went on and Busquets dropped into that back line, Bright has been such a key player in that midfield. It's I don't know if you guys remember Gregory a year ago.
Yeah.
We have this incredible defensive midfielder who would just any opposition attacker that's in there, he's crunching tackles, he's getting rid of the ball. Basically, Yannick Bright has replaced Gregory in that sense. So Yannick Bright is just a pure defensive midfielder. His positional sense is impeccable, and it's crazy because, the guy, he's 21, 22, which is, still old enough, but coming out straight out of college, you don't expect him to have this big of an impact. And it's gotten to the point where, I don't think Miami can play without him, honestly. They need that defensive presence in the midfield, especially when Busquets is getting older and he's not as physical as he may used to be back in his Barcelona days, and especially him moving back to the back line. Yannick Bright has been such a huge player in that regard, playing alongside a guy like Redondo, who's more of a creative outlet, more of a deep line playmaker. Having Yannick Bright there as that defensive midfielder, sweeping up any opposition attack there. It's been huge for Miami, and honestly key as to why they were able to play so well even without Messi and Suarez throughout the summer. They had that defensive steal throughout the middle, so it allowed the guys who are more attacking inclined, i.e. like a Diego Gomez or Julian Gressel, Jordi Alba, who has 6 assists and 4 goals on the season as a fullback, which is insane. It allowed those guys to go and be great while Ian kind of held down the fort with the back line as a defensive midfielder. So, he's a super draft pick, but my word, he's had such a huge impact on this Miami team.
It's interesting because both teams do play very similarly. A big focus on transition play and being able to get numbers forward and playing a bit more direct once they do win it. They definitely, for the Union, have been focusing on trying to build up their midfield to be able to play through the midfield a lot more, to add that attacking versatility of being able to combine and get forward, being able to switch the point of attack, and then also sometimes playing traditionally down, whether it's direct or even just through the flank services. So when you see players like Stanley Jean-Jacques that they were able to acquire, as well as Leon Flock and Jesus Bueno, Ali Bedoya, Danny Gazdag, they're adding some more fluidity into their attack that has allowed them to show a bit more unpredictability and dynamic in their formation, even if it's the traditional 4-3-3, 4-4-2, whichever they're rolling out that day. So it has been encouraging for the Union. I just feel like this is such a big test because coming off of a break prior to that, of course, the win over New York Red Bulls, which is always good to get a nice rivalry win. Things have been feeling good, even with them losing Jose Martinez and Damian Lowe to, roster moves, even with them having some question marks and hiccups. They've gotten Andre Blake back, who's been fantastic and showing why he was MLS goalkeeper of the year. But now you're running up against the top dogs in Miami, and I'm excited and nervous and so many different emotions because on paper they're expected to lose regardless, but depending on how this game goes, could have people really panicking or really encouraged on the other side of it. Miami, on the other hand, really has nothing. I mean, they do have something to lose because if you lose to the Union, people are going to be like up in arms about that as well.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, if Messi is able to play this weekend, that in itself would be a huge boost for Inter Miami to be able to have Messi return back to add that spark with 7 games remaining in the regular season. So I'm excited for this matchup, guys, because I feel like there's just a lot at stake here for both teams. And that's what makes it like there's a lot to play for. There's a lot of like storylines to follow and 2 teams that also play very similarly. It's exciting.
Right. And if I can add on there, I think, like you said, Renee, I think as a reporter, I'm looking forward to this game because, historically the Union and Inter Miami, they've had some clashes over the years, and it's always fun watching the 2 teams go at it. So, yeah, I'm intrigued to see, how Miami carries on about this, and let's see if they can continue that winning streak. And I know the Union are going to be ready to play, and it's going to be a really difficult game, and I think it's going to be a really physical game as well. So, yeah, let's see how it ends up. But I think as a reporter and neutral, I'm excited. I'm excited to see this game and let's see how it goes. It's gonna be an interesting one from Miami's perspective. They don't want to drop a game, but I think like you said, getting Messi back will be the biggest talking point. But also they don't want to. They want to keep up the pressure on Supporters Shield and winning that. So it'll a lot of stakes for Miami as well. And when Messi gets back on that field, it'll be a boost for them too.
Alex, I've known you for a while now, and like I want to ask you a question on a personal level. Like, has it hit you yet? Like this club that you're now covering, like you covered some bad Miami teams, and look at this now. Like they're competing for Supporters Shield. Like, how's it feel for you personally?
I was just like, that's such a shower thought. I was thinking about that the other day, like the days of, Diego Alonso and Phil Neville and the sanctions. And, oh, man, yeah, I was there for all of it. And to see the club now and they got the stadium deal done. They're moving back in late 2025. And, yeah, it's honestly overwhelming as a Miami native.
Gonzalo Higuain teams.
Yes. Oh, my word. Those were I don't want to get dragged, but those were the trenches, man. Like, it was crazy.
It's funny, Alex, because I live in South Jersey, which is very close to Philadelphia, and like I see kids in my own neighborhood here with the pink Messi jerseys. Like there's not even Union. There's the pink Messi. Like Miami runs all through this country now.
Wow. Yeah. Honestly, maybe it's I'm not thinking about it, but it's weird. Like I don't know. MLS is such like it's a national league, but most people watch Premier League or La Liga. But
Yeah.
seeing Inter Miami jerseys, even with non-Messi names, like I saw like some child with the Robert Taylor jersey on, which is incredible. I love Robert Taylor; he's such a cool dude. But
That's
I
cool.
don't know, it just hasn't sunk in. It's just wild. It's wild. Everything's wild.
It is, and even with all that, you get the announcement that we heard last week. I guess it would have been at this point. Luis Suarez talking about his announcement of retiring from international soccer. His international career ended with the World Cup qualifier against Paraguay, and he's done with Uruguay. He's no more going to play internationally. But on the club side, there still seems to be some murmurs that he's still going to keep going professionally a little bit more before hanging up the cleats. So even those types of moments to be a part of such a big name player, you talk about one of the best attackers that we've seen in the game, that's you get to be a part of this major moment in his career. It's exciting. This is why we do what we do. But I'm also interested because I feel like Suarez, with this announcement, I know it's very emotional. He was tearing up. Sometimes when players retire from the international game, there's that extra last burst of fire in them on the club side because this is it. And they want to see if they can get that title, get that, whatever those final honors and accolades are that they're seeking. So even that, I'm sure, has been a whirlwind for you to be after the retirement announcement and even following now of what that's going to look like for Suarez and for this team moving forward.
Right. And I don't want to, I don't know if I should say this because it's mainly speculation, but during Suarez, they had a tribute video for friends and family, and Messi was one of the people in that video, and he alluded to Suarez continuing his career for many years to come. And I mentioned that I wrote about it on my Substack, that how Messi may have implied that Suarez is staying in Miami for maybe one or maybe 2 more years, which is absurd because he's a great scorer, but he's like almost 40, which, at the end of the day, I guess, I know what Drogba, I don't know if you guys remember him playing in Montreal. Yeah. He played until he was 40, so there's precedent for that. But yeah, I think Messi may have alluded to Suarez staying for an extra year next season. And this is not me reporting anything, that's why I was hesitant to say, but it's more so like speculation. Yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if they do extend his contract. He's been so good. But yeah, like you said, it's just a pleasure to watch these guys play as a reporter, and I'm just soaking it in and doing my best to cover the team and giving the fans of the team and the people who want to follow along the best coverage. So yeah, I'm just chilling and letting everything go, really.
You deserve it, Alex.
And real quick, Suarez, when he made his debut at 18 back in May of 2005, that was way back with Atletico Junior in the Copa Libertadores. Here we are almost 20 years later, and we're still talking about him having a couple more years possibly. I know he said it as well of he wants to keep enjoying his professional football career a little bit more, not in a rush to end it. So I do feel like there is some speculation that he could potentially, even with his contract through 2024, this 2024 season, that he might be inking another deal to continue playing. So 40 is the new 30, though, guys. Let's
right. Very true.
I love it. I love it. All right.
Oh my gosh, you guys heard the thunder in my background? It's crazy down here.
There we go. Precursor for Saturday. We shall see.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, Alex, it's time to get that prediction from you. Where do you see happening this upcoming Saturday? Philadelphia Union, Inter Miami Club de Fútbol. What's going to happen here?
I'm really bad at predictions, but I think it'll be a competitive game. I think both teams will score. I think it'll be 3-2 in favor of Miami. I think they'll defensively collapse somewhere because they always do that, and the Union will fight hard, and I think it'll be a competitive game. But I do think Miami will narrowly get the win 3-2, but it won't be easy.
Okay. Renee?
Honestly, I do feel like this should be a game that's similar to the first one, which was 2-1. Lots of cards, lots of fouls, lots of physical play. So with that intensity, will allow the Union to they thrive, I feel like, with games like that. I also feel like a 2-1, 3-2 type of a score. I would love for the Union to muster out a win, though. So I'm going to optimistically go a 2-1 Union win.
Okay.
But I could see it going either way. This is a tough one.
I have the Union actually losing 2-1 again to Inter Miami. So yeah, I just don't have a good feeling going down to Fort Lauderdale to get the victory. So we shall see. But that's
haven't done well off of bye weeks for the Union, by the way. So That's also a factor.
They have not whatsoever. But that's going to do it for this edition of PHLY Union Podcast. A big shout out to Alex. Make sure you guys are following her and her work over at Heron's Nest. You can follow her at AAW_1998. It's always a pleasure having Alex on here. We'll be back next week for another edition of PHLY Union Podcast. The shouts to Andrew Frazier for producing for us here today. For Renee Washington, of course, I am JP Zapata. We will talk to you guys next week. See you guys soon.
We all silly like the